Good morning, good afternoon, or good evening, wherever or whenever you happen to be listening to this. My name is Tavishima Ayede, Abuja-based event and wedding photographer, and I'm the host of the show you're listening to today, which is the Sales for the Nigerian Wedding Industry podcast. So today, I'd like us to look at the issue of feedback, because in building our businesses as wedding industry professionals, we get feedback all the time. We get feedback from family members, we get feedback from our spouses, we get feedback from benefactors, people who feel like they have a personal stake in our success. We also get feedback from our customers, and we get feedback from anybody that we get to ask for their feedback about. And so I am going to make this brief recording today to look into the matter of when we should rely on feedback that we get, basically. Now, the reason why I thought about this is because I have an Instagram handle that I call the Sales Conversations, sales_conversation. And that is where I share some of the topics that we talk about on this podcast, and I share more of my ideas in text format anyway about sales, selling, and what have you. Basically, how you grow the bottom line using the discipline and the art of personal sales. So that's what the Instagram handle is about. And of course, since I'm new to this space, once in a while, I seek for feedback from people who have been in the business for much longer than I have. So I'm a wedding photographer, that's my bread and butter. And this whole thing of public speaking and the business consultancy on the side is something that I have only been involved in the last, 2 years, when my friend Laura started with the Wedding Planning Academy, and I got signed on as an instructor on sales, communications, professionalism, what else? And networking. Yes, so that's where I started this venture, basically. And that was long before I started this podcast. So I decided to seek some feedback from a business consultant that I met with while working with the British Council. They have this outfit that is called the Rule of Law and Anti-Corruption Unit, and in partnership with the EU, they've been sponsoring a lot of programs in Nigeria about good governance and things of that nature. And since I've worked with other teams in the British Council, it was only natural, I think, that I was able to slide my way into this unit using some of the sales skills, techniques, and tactics that we discuss over here, so I could start doing business with them as well. And of course, when you work with these sorts of people, you get to meet lots of interesting folks from different spheres of life. Not to say that wedding industry professionals are not interesting, but typically at the average wedding, the people I'm going to meet are the people that I would expect: the wedding planner, who else? The videographer, the MC, the cake person. Of course, we have some difference. Should I say no, not difference? What's the word? Variety when it comes to brides and grooms, because you get brides and grooms from different walks of life. But basically, if you're in the wedding space and you decide to try and get that some of that corporate money, which isn't bad, it's not big. But the thing is, it's recurring revenue, and so it makes sense. So you don't get the 500k check, at once. You might be getting, 50k or maybe 100k, but in multiples, and it lasts throughout the whole year. And so that's why corporate money is good. Well, that was of course until COVID hit, and we're still waiting to see when these things will resume. Anyway, before I went on that long aside, basically I was saying that I met a business consultant. He's in the sphere of communications, and he helps Rolac out. Well, I'd like to apologize. The noise in the background, that's the baby, and that's because, it's a weekend, so the kids are here, and I decided to leave the door open. I'm not going to be an irresponsible parent and record in a closed room while the children are running around unattended. So they're going to be checking in every now and then. So just bear with me for whenever they interrupt. Okay, so back to where I was. So yes, this business consultant who helps the Rolac team out and other British council teams with the area of social media and communication and stuff like that. So I decided to, chatting him up, I wanted his feedback on the handle. And so he sent it to me. So I sent it to him. He was impressed, but he mentioned that my long form content was too long and I should make it short, and I should use infographics and stuff like that. And the thing is, I had started doing that in the beginning when I had the handle, but all these infographics and all these cute little stuff, they take a lot of time to make, and I found it much more fulfilling and quicker to do when I would just whip out my phone, type something real quick, get a random photo, and then put it up. And so that's what I started doing. So I thanked him very much for his feedback, and I was going to take it on board until something dawned on me. It occurred to me that what he was suggesting I should do is stuff that I had already started with. And based on a couple of things that we said in the conversation, it occurred to me that he had given me feedback without really delving into the material that I had on the Instagram handle. And then I also remembered that people who follow the handle regularly give me all kinds of feedback, and the feedback that I've been getting from people did not match what it was that this consultant was saying. And then I remembered one principle about feedback that I learned a while ago. I can't remember from where. And I just realized that the feedback that I've gotten from this consultant perhaps isn't something that I should follow in this case. And that is because when you get feedback from people, it is best to get feedback from people who are actual users of your product or your service, because these are the people who use it from time to time, personally vested in it, and who know where all the smooth parts are and where all the crinkles are. And that's the best place where you should get your feedback from. So, business consultant, of course, communication specialist, of course, and is giving his feedback, but perhaps I ought not to take the feedback into what's that word? I guess I shouldn't take the feedback on board because he is not an actual user. The actual users don't have any problems so far. The people who actually follow the handle and the feedback that they give me is what I am going to take on board, because after all, they are my intended audience, and any feedback look that I get from actual users is likely to be much more useful in making the handle more relevant and useful for people who actually follow. So, what does that have to do with those of us who are only worried about our wedding industry practice? It's the same. We should get feedback from actual users. So, of course, your mom has an opinion, your wife has an opinion, your father-in-law has an opinion, your mother-in-law has an opinion, your friends from secondary school, they have an opinion about how you ought to build your wedding planning practice, or how you should be a photographer, or how you should run your makeup artistry business. But the feedback that is going to matter the most is going to be from actual users. So if as a wedding planner, let's say your mom and your in-laws say, stop this, your fascination with Egyptian cotton. It's not going to work. Ordinary people don't do that, blah, blah, blah. But as a wedding planner, you're getting, let's say, 15 gigs every year. And out of the 15, 13 people totally love everything that you do with Egyptian cotton. Then by all means, go ahead and continue with the Egyptian cotton. Because the people who love you, your in-laws, your family, and your secondary school friends, yes, they love you. But the thing is, they're not paying you money. The people who are paying you money are actually the ones who are saying that your ideas work, we totally love it, you rock, keep on doing it. So that is how it applies in our wedding industry practice. Feedback, yes, it's good to take feedback on board, because we don't have a 360 perspective, so it's best to listen to people and get as much feedback as we can. But when it comes to developing your product or your service, the feedback that matters the most are the actual users, people who are actually reading, following, paying for whatever service it is that you have. That is the feedback that you need to get on board to help you guys up the ante on your product or your service. So, so that's it for today, basically. So thank you very much for listening to the Sales for the Nigerian Wedding Industry podcast. I'm your host, Abuja-based event and wedding photographer Tabishima Ayede. I'll catch you guys on the next episode, and I'll do my best to keep dripping value to you guys at every recording. Don't forget, if you are interested in long-form content, you can follow the Instagram handle. It is called sales_conversations. I think there are 2 or 3 other people who have similar handles, but once you see my name there, Tavishima, I think I use my name in full, Tavishima George Ayede. So when you see that, that's the handle. I also post there daily as well. Thank you guys for your support. Thank you for following, and thank you for helping us cross the threshold of slightly over 90 episodes so far. We are close to 1,000 downloads, so thank you guys very much. When we hit the first year anniversary, I guess I'll have to come up with something about how we're going to celebrate that. So, thanks for listening. I'll catch you guys on the next episode.